Welcome to another exciting Fisser podcast. Today we're going to talk about a healthy brain. Now, our brain, as you know, holds everything near and dear to us, everything, who we are, our experiences, our education, our memories, everything that we are, that we've experienced since birth, our brain holds. So it's our most valuable asset, okay? It really, your brain determines a lot in life, as you know. So today we're going to discuss two parts of the brain that I want to look at to see if we can make a difference. And we are going to make a difference. It's the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus. In this episode, we'll learn how to protect, prevent, and even grow back these parts. And not only that, but I got a bomb I'm going to drop at the end of this episode, so stay tuned. Help this channel, subscribe, ring the bell notification, write a comment, have your friends and loved ones join. Please, it helps this channel a great deal. We're growing it. We're bringing constantly new stuff. We're doing research. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to bring you this, to get you to the healthiest you've ever known. All right? So do me that favor. All right, let's head into the episode. Let's have a look at the brain. First off, let's have a look. A lot of you haven't seen a brain, okay? So we're gonna go in surgery with my good buddy, Dr. Gregory LeClay. We're childhood friends. He's a neurosurgeon, and he's performing an intracerebral hemorrhage in the basal ganglia, removal of the blood. Okay, so, and this is caused by hypertension. Yeah, cardiovascular disease, remember that? Hypertension, dangerous. This is super dangerous for the brain to have this fluid, put pressure in the brain, in the skull. So he's removing it. He's threading a needle, which is called a dandy needle, past the motor cortex very finely into the area of the basal ganglia to extract all the fluid. And he's doing this because he's able to see it with a scan, a live scan. So he knows it kind of guides him. He can guide himself with imaging to where he needs to go. So it's a critical operation, and you get to see the brain. They actually do 4 holes. They saw this window open and take the skull, open it up, and there you have the brain, and then they take they take a layer off, and then they go into the brain. So this is what we're seeing now. Just to get you a little taste of the brain. We're going to talk about Alzheimer's and dementia. These are the big two that attack the hippocampus when we get older. This is the big two that scare us all. I mean, I've had my mom die of it. I've had my father-in-law die of it. I see my mother-in-law dying of it. It's been all around us and the people that we love, and it is scary. All right, so if there's any way that we can prevent this, is there any way we can do anything about it, we're going to do it. So in this episode, that's what we're going to be doing. Let's start with the hippocampus back here. Okay, the hippocampus is critical for spatial memory. Now, spatial memory is me getting on my motorcycle in a new town and going to get some groceries and then finding my way back without consulting Google Maps, just by memory, just by knowing, okay, I turned left on that street, turned right on that street, went that way. That's spatial memory, okay? And that, with us, gets less and less developed because we're counting on Google Maps. We're not thinking anymore while we're driving. We're just following a map in our car. So this is one of the things that we need to kind of get back to. Go camping, and find our way through the forest. This leads me to specific research that was done in London, and you probably heard about this. It's the taxi cab driver story of London. So, in short, to get a taxi license in London, it's a 3 to 4 year study, intensive. You have to memorize all the roads that lead to the main areas of London and the main sites of London, and you have to memorize them cold. I mean, no maps, no nothing. You got to know exactly where to turn, how to go, everything. All of them. So this is something that takes them 3 to 4 years to learn to be able to try to pass the exam. So what they've done, if they studied these, students before they actually went and learned all this stuff and took scans, and then after they actually concluded their examination, they got scanned again. And what did they find? They found actual growth in the posterior hippocampus. So new cells grew. This brain grew in the posterior hippocampus with these guys. And this is famous research because this really opened our eyes to what was possible and opened our eyes to the first clue to keeping our brains healthy, and that is lifelong learning. We got to keep learning. You have to learn a new language. You have to learn a new skill. You have to do something, art, music, learn to play an instrument. As you age, you need to keep learning, keep training your brain to learn something new. You get neuroplasticity, you get expansion, and you get growth. So learning is key. The second one is going to be socializing. Now this, you can go back onto my episodes in the Blue Zones where I talk expansively about how these people, these centenarians, people that are over 100, socialize. This is one of their key points. And so socialization is huge. We see it in multiple rat studies that were done where we have one group of rats in isolation, one group of rats with other rats, with a spinning wheel, with toys, complete social environment, positive social environment. And we see that when we analyze the brain age, this brain of the happy rats is way younger than the brain of the isolated rat. The isolated rat ages and gets all kinds of issues in their brains because of the stress. So socialization, key. Number 3 is probably the biggest bang for the buck, the biggest game changer. It not only decreases dementia by 30%, but we get releases of specific hormones like serotonin, adrenaline, and dopamine for our moods. It enhances our mood. It enhances our well-being, our feeling of well-being. What's this? Exercise. Yep, exercise. Not only that, but neurochemicals get released called growth factors, and they actually grow the hippocampus. Okay? So exercise is probably the biggest game changer in this thing. And they've done the studies, 65-year-olds and above. Okay, so people in their last decades of life, 65 and above, got tested. They put them to train, exercise lightly, moderately, 3 times a week. They saw an improvement of 30%. They had 30% less chance of developing dementia just with 3 times a week. People that were more fit and were doing more exercise actually benefited even more. So the more you do, the more benefits there are. Phenomenal research here, and a phenomenal effect. Not only the 30% decrease in the chance of you getting dementia, but you got your mood going up. You got your feeling of well-being going up. So depression has less of a chance. And then in the end, you're growing more brain. Phenomenal. So what else? What else? Now, these I want to mention because they have impact. They have quite a bit of impact. And you can add these. Meditation has shown really to have a positive effect on the prefrontal cortex. If you have the means, if you have money, you got cash, then hyperbaric oxygen treatments could be an option for you, and umbilical cord stem cell therapy. These are both game changers in this field. But, not without saying, the biggest change is going to be with the first 3 that I told you about, including exercise. That's going to be your biggest ones. These are just icing on the cake. So, when we look at this and we say, okay, how does the brain react to stuff? Well, we need to look at the brain as kind of like, it's part of our own cardiovascular system, right? So Cardiovascular disease affects the brain the same way it affects our body, right? The heart, the arteries, the veins, all this, same thing happens in our brain. So, the same things count. If you're obese, you're going to have a smaller brain. Issues. If you don't get enough quality and quantity of sleep, I'm talking 7 to 8 hours, you're going to have big issues. And you can go to the sleep episode to look at that. Sedentary lifestyle will get you in trouble. Processed food will be a problem. Ultra processed foods, chips, snacks, all this stuff, be a problem. Loneliness, yes, the opposite of socialization. Loneliness is going to be an issue for your brain. And finally, smoking and alcohol. These things affect the brain negatively. So we know this. We know this from our cardiovascular disease, that these are the same players, same guys that show up in cardiovascular disease. And so one of the things I think when we look at this the possible degeneration of our brain, cognitive decline, so as they call it, we're looking at memory loss. I mean, people freak out when they start losing their memory. Oh, I can't remember names. I can't remember all this lists. I used to be able to remember so many things. Anyway, people freak out. So we're going to go quickly over memory because it plays a role here with Alzheimer's, with dementia. Memory is a big one. I mean, this is the thing that goes kind of, starts going before you go completely bonkers. So when we look at memory, we've got three main memories. Cognitive memory, which is for facts and events and stuff like that. We got motor memory. This is, how to play the piano, how to do baseball, how to catch a ball. That's motor memory. So anything we have to do with our bodies or with our eyes or coordination, anything like that, how to dance salsa. See, that's all motor memory. Third one is working memory. That's day-to-day memory, okay? Remembering lists, remembering people, remembering what to do, what I did yesterday, etc. That's your working memory. Now, there are things we can do to hack these, right? And so we're always looking at, okay, how can I improve my memory? What can I do to improve my memory? So there's a couple of things. All right, here we go. One, of course, repetition. This is what we did in school to learn. I mean, repetition was the name of the game, okay? Not a big nuance there. But these next ones can help you. One is association. Okay, so what does this mean? Associating, like if you have a list of things you gotta memorize. You can go back to a place that you remember, like your childhood house. You remember every corner in the house, you remember every room, and you can start placing the things of your list in each area of your house. This is how you're going to remember, and that's how you create an association so they become easier to remember. The next two are things that automatically make you remember stuff. First of all, novelty, something that's new. Okay, something that's new that happens that you've never experienced before, never seen before. The first thing our body does is, oh, this could be danger. So you get extra alert and you start taking in way more information. Your brain needs it to keep you safe. All right, the next one is emotional resonance. So this is like if you're super happy, super sad, if you're scared, if there's an accident that happened, if you fall in love for the first time, you're going to remember things that happen through this emotional time. Much easier. It's going to be automatic. You don't even think about it. So these are areas that you can practice, that you can work on to keep your memory good, keep your memory improving, and continuously build, a buffer around your brain. Okay, so what's the bomb? Remember I told you about the bomb I'm going to drop? Well, it's time to drop the bomb. All right. Recent studies published in March 12, 2024. I mean, that was like a couple of weeks ago. Showed that a certain drug affects the brain favorably, giving us protection against Alzheimer's in the range of 30 to 54%. It does this by opening the vascular system, which we call vasodilation, in the brain, so more blood can flow everywhere and the cells can be nurtured. So what is this drug? Well, the name of this drug, the official name is sildenafil. 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 Yeah, there you go. Better known as the blue pill. Better known as Viagra. Yes, works for both heads. Amazing, right? I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. I read this study like 4 times. I was like, there is no way. But when you start to think about it, it does the same thing. It kind of makes sense. So anyway, there's more studies that need to come to really verify this so that we know 100% that this is really what it does. But initial studies, pretty amazing. So anyway, I'll keep you posted on this. Any new studies coming out, and there will be more studies being done to duplicate this one. We'll let you know. Thanks for staying tuned till now. Like I said, subscribe, ring the bell notification, invite your friends, your loved ones, because we're going to get you to the best health you've ever known. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.